This work session regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. Madam Clerk.
In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, adequate notice of this work session regular meeting of the Franklin Township Council was made as required, indicating that this meeting will take place at the Municipal Building at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 28, 2026.
If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for the invocation by Councilman Shupendu Singh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
So let us take the next few moments of silence to each seek, in our own way, whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois? Here. Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Here.
Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Onijaka?
Here.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
As our township manager put it, we now have 18 commendations and proclamations. But the first one will be Conference on Horseback commendation. I'm going to see if I can set a new example by not reading all the proclamations, but talking to the people who are involved. And Mr. LaCourte will join me at the podium and call the others up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. These are accommodations for the Conference on Horseback, and I'd like to call up George Luck, Kim from the Kingston Deli, Kingston Presbyterian Church, and the Presbyterian Church. That's on. Huh? Oh, United Methodist Church. Excuse me.
We stand over here for proclamations.
I'm not used to it. I'm on the wrong side.
We've been talking about that.
That's right. And it's not going to change. So, George, if you want to introduce everybody as we hand them out, you can.
That was the 50th anniversary of sacrifice.
The Conference on Horseback is something that I'd known about for 30 years because I like Revolutionary War history. And I've been mayor for about 10 and a half years. It was only about 6 months ago I learned that the Conference of Horseback happened in this very town. So we did a reenactment as part of our Franklin 250 celebration, and these people were instrumental in making it come off the way it did.
I just want to, there is another person who was instrumental in doing this, and that was Glenn McParlin. And Glenn was crazy going down at the beginning of it, and he did a great job. And you'll see more about our coins that actually Glenn designed for Franklin Township. And can I put a plug in? We're the only ones in the state of New Jersey that I know right now that have actually designed our own coins. And they're going to be available. The first set, they're out there now. We made 1,000. There's only 250 left. And the next batches, we have those, and they'll be available at the library and different places within the next week, I think. But those are really special, too. So, George.
Pick me to talk. All right, I just wanted to introduce Reverend Charles Dixon from the Presbyterian Church, Kim from the Kingston Deli, and Herb Mertz from the Kingston United Methodist Church. And I just, again, want to thank the mayor and the council for this recognition. It was really a work of love to be able to bring that conference on horseback to life, and we look forward to doing the actual 250th next January. So thank you. I think I speak for everybody that we really appreciate the recognition, but really wasn't necessary. It was a lot of fun to do. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you all. So who is doing Earth Day?
From
Okay, I thought you said otherwise.
I thought you were going to come in today.
This was 10 years ago. This month. This is 50th anniversary of St. Dies.
Relax.
They only come in every 10 years.
Good evening.
This is here.
Today, as we mark Earth Day, we reaffirm a simple truth, caring for our planet right here, that begins right here at home in Franklin Township. We are blessed with parks, open spaces, and a community that understands the value of stewardship. This proclamation is just not symbolic. It is a commitment to cleaner air, healthier neighborhoods, and sustainable choices that protect our future. Let us work together as one community to ensure that in Franklin we pass on to our children, what we pass on to our children is greener, stronger, and more resilient than the one we inherited. Today, I'm pleased to invite my former colleague, Councilman Chase, and Environmental Commissioner Paul Wilitsky, today to receive the proclamation, Earth Day proclamation.
This is not a proclamation just for the Environmental Commission. It encompasses everything the township's been doing. The Open Space Committee, the Shade Tree Commission, the council itself, the 60 volunteers that showed up 2 weeks ago to help us clean Sealy's Run and got tons of garbage out. This is really a community resolution, and we appreciate the recognition.
And since we've had Earth Day, you can now mow your lawns. So it's a matter of maintaining some early flowering small plants that typically will flower in your lawn if you give them a chance in April.
I have the honor to serve with Dr. Chase at the Planning Board. I'm telling you, he holds every applicant to the exacting standards that he has established in terms of the protecting the environment and planting trees, and he knows his plants and trees.
Okay. Dr. Karazi will be issuing a proclamation for the Taiwanese American Heritage Week.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I'm really honored to be here one more time to recognize another group of our community members, and this time is the Taiwanese American, and some of them are here, so would you please come forward and join me? Now, it's a blessing to live in Franklin Township, of course. We have so many community members, and you're going to be here in another one in Sierra Leone pretty soon.
Thank you.
So, but I'm going to be reading this proclamation to recognize the Taiwanese American Heritage Week, actually. So whereas Taiwanese American Heritage Week is celebrated nationally during the week of May 17th each year to honor the contributions, culture, and history of Taiwanese Americans and their enduring impact on the United States. And whereas Taiwanese Americans have enriched our nation and our community through outstanding achievements in the fields of science, technology, medicine, education, business, and the arts, strengthening the fabric of American society. And whereas The Township of Franklin is proud to be home to a vibrant Taiwanese American community whose members contribute greatly to the civic, cultural, and economic life of Somerset County and the greater region. And whereas the values of hard work, family, education, and community service that are hallmarks of the Taiwanese American experience reflect the finest traditions of Franklin Township and the state of New Jersey. And whereas the mayor and Township Council believe it is fitting and proper to recognize Taiwanese American Heritage Week and to celebrate the rich cultural heritage and many contributions of Taiwanese Americans to our community and our nation. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Mayor and Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, that the week of May 17 to 23, 2026, is hereby designated Taiwanese American Heritage Week in the Township of Franklin, and all residents are encouraged to learn about, celebrate, and honor the heritage and achievements of the Taiwanese American community. Thank you so much, sir. Congratulations.
Council. Oh.
Thank you, Mayor and the council members. We Taiwanese American in our community deeply honored to have this recognition, and hope we can keep united as one to uphold the value we all share, the democracy, the freedom, and the self-determination of all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So there's a proclamation from the governor, right? Okay, so here's a proclamation also from the governor for that. So that's wonderful. That's great. Congratulations. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Mr. Vassanello will be commemorating the 60th anniversary of St. Matthias's School.
So, since they only come about every 10 years, I will read the whole proclamation. Just a little tidbit. I personally have a lot of friends, family, relatives that have worked and continue to work in public school systems, everything from food service workers to superintendents. But like many things in this country, you have choices. And with that, in education is religious-based schools, also known as parochial schools, of course, private. And we're talking about parochial schools tonight. Well, we were blessed in the 1960s not only have St. Matthias Parish start up here, when there was literally 1/3 of the population, give or take a few thousand, of what we have here today. And along with the parish, a few years later came St. Matthias School. And although I did go to Pine Grove for kindergarten, the oldest school, still open in Franklin Township Public School, I spent 8 years at St. Matthias and went on to Parochial High School, as my three sisters did also. How are you? Anyway, and my son and nephews and many other people. Whatever school you choose is whatever's right for you. I was happy and thrilled to this day that I got that education, as strict as it was, but we had a lot of fun. So I'm going to read a proclamation that just highlights some of the high points of it. And I believe it's the oldest continuously running parochial school in Franklin Township and continues today to run They didn't have it back then. Now they have K through 8, and I think even preschool, and God knows so many other things connected to the parish for the children. But we're here to celebrate 60 years, which is not easy for any school, let alone Catholic schools, that many are closing or merging. So really, we have a gem here in Franklin Township. Enough said about that. I'm going to read this proclamation, and then the new pastor, Father Tom, and some others will come up to receive it and hopefully say a couple words. So, whereas St. Matthias School was founded in 1965 in Somerset, New Jersey, and has proudly served the children of Franklin Township and Somerset County for 60 years, providing a Christ-centered education rooted in academic excellence, moral development, and spiritual growth for students from pre-K 3 through 8th grade. And whereas in 2001, St. Matthias School was honored as a national blue ribbon school by the United States Department of Education, one of the most prestigious recognitions in American education, and has been named Best Elementary School in Somerset consecutively from 2021 to the present. I did not know that, reflecting his sustained commitment to educational quality. And whereas in partnership with the Catholic community of St. Matthias and school families, the school nurtures students to develop strong moral values and essential life skills, preparing them to serve as responsible citizens and faithful disciples in an increasingly diverse and interconnected world. And whereas the mayor and Township Council of Franklin Township recognize the St. Matthias School has been and continues to be a cornerstone institution and beacon of faith-based education in our community, and wish to honor its dedicated administrators, teachers, staff, families, alumni on the occasion of this remarkable milestone. And whereas the St. Matthias School community will gather on Saturday, May 16, 2026, to celebrate this joyous 60th anniversary milestone with a special community celebration, bringing together current families, alumni, parishioners, and friends to reflect upon the school's proud history and look forward to its bright future. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the mayor of the Township of Franklin and the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, that the Township of Franklin hereby congratulates and honors St. Matthias School on the occasion of its 60th anniversary, and that Saturday, May 16, 2026, is hereby proclaimed St. Matthias School Day in the Township of Franklin, and extends its deepest gratitude to all who have dedicated themselves to the school's mission of faith, learning, and service to the community over the past 6 decades. And I just brought a little visual aid to suggest how things have changed. I didn't go in the 60s. I was here in the 70s, as far as I went to school there, but have actually had some family or relative, I think up until this decade, somebody enrolled, if not multiple people. Back then, we had to wear wool ties, no air conditioning, wool ties. So it was a little bit different of a world, but it's evolved. You do have air conditioning. I know at least far back as my son went there, they get to wear polo shirts. So it's a little bit different in that way, but just as good, if not better, than the values it teaches and the academic excellence that comes out of it. Father Tom, the new pastor, please, if you'd like to say a couple words, and anybody else here with your contingent. And ironically, I just found this. This is from the 50th. We all look a little younger. But I don't know if the camera can see it, but that's from the 50th. So sorry to take up so much time, but since you only come every 10 years or so, I figured it was worth the time.
Quick picture, and then I'll say a few words.
Sure,
That's all right?
sure.
All right. All right. Did you get it with this? All right. Yeah, and then one with all of us for the proclamation. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Can we stand? Could you get the Franklin also? Really quick. Father Troy, you want to come in the picture? Okay. Okay. All right. Come on. Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Charles. Thank you to everybody on the council. Thank you to our mayor. I have not had the privilege of being here too long, since August, and that's when I was named the pastor of St. Matthias, but I inherited a really rich legacy within our town, and part of my goal and part of my vision is to keep that going. You know, we want to be a place where people feel welcome. That's part of our motto, is that all are welcome. You know, and another thing, you know, with Catholic education and really private school education, it can be, you know, economically challenging. But I think the one thing that makes a particularly Catholic education stand out is we care much about formation as we do education. And that's really important because formation is really about the whole person. We want to form morally upright people. We want to form people of faith, people that are going to be good mothers, good fathers, good siblings, people that are going to be responsible in the community. So that's really important to us, as is, you know, having the highest quality of education that we can provide. On May 16th, Saturday, May 16th, we're hosting a big festival. Maybe many of you remember the Carnival days, right, when St. Matthias on JFK had all the lights and the rides. So we're not quite there yet, but we're going to have a festival to honor the 60th anniversary of the school. We have a Christian rock band coming. We have food trucks. We'll have plenty of games for the kids. We're going to be giving tours of the school. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on that day. So it's a really great opportunity for everybody in our community, whether you're Catholic, Christian, or otherwise, anything. Come, hang with us. Let's get to know our neighbors, and let's celebrate and give thanks for something, you know, in our town that's really thrived and succeeded over the years to help our citizenship in this town and help the town to flourish in the state of New Jersey. So I just want to thank everybody, and I hope I'll be invited back. Thanks. Oh, that's another one. Okay.
Thank you.
For our next proclamation is the 65th anniversary of Sierra Leone independence.
Okay. Whoops, my glasses. Well, here we're back here, as we are every year. This is a little bit of a milestone. I don't have a picture from it, but I remember the 50th and the big parade, and that was 15 years ago. Boy, we're all getting old. But here we are, the 65th, and I'll just read this proclamation here. And myself, my colleague, Councilman Al-Najaka, have a couple of words to say. But let me read this. Whereas the Republic of Sierra Leone gained its independence from Great Britain on April 27, 1961, ending over 150 years of British colonial rule, marking this year as the 65th anniversary of independence, and whereas many local Sierra Leonean organizations and individuals in Franklin Township are dedicated to the principles of civic, economic, and educational programs by encouraging the teachings of African culture and social contributions of largely West African immigrants. And whereas the Sierra Leonean American community has established deep roots in Franklin Township, contributing significantly to the rich cultural diversity, civic engagement, and economic vitality of our community. And whereas the Township Council and all citizens of the township wish to acknowledge and acclaim the contributions of our Sierra Leone community to the life of our community. And whereas Sierra Leone's path to independence represents a triumph of self-determination and democratic values, principles that are cherished by the citizens of Franklin Townships and the United States of America. And whereas the celebration of Sierra Leone's Independence Day is a time of freedom, responsibility, peacefulness, and loving that reminds us of the sacrifices made by numerous heroes and freedom fighters to secure freedom cherished today. And whereas the youth of Franklin Township and its environs have distinguished themselves through exceptional academic achievement, bringing tremendous pride to their parents, guardians, and families, both here in the and home in Sierra Leone, whose applause and celebration of these accomplishments reflects the enduring value and community places, and our community places on education excellence. And now, therefore, we, Councilman Charles Ononjaka and James Vasanella, and Mayor Phil Kramer, on behalf of the entire Township Council, do hereby proclaim April 27, 2026 as Sierra Leone Independence Day in Franklin Township, and encourage all residents to join in recognizing the cultural, social, and economic contributions of the Sierra Leonean American community to our township, and to participate in the various celebrations and educational activities commemorating this important occasion. This is for you. Councilman, do you want to get a picture of them?
Well, beautiful. That's good. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Hold on. Oh. Thank you. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
First of all, I want to use this opportunity to thank all of you and to wish you all happy independence. In as much as African community is part of Franklin, Sierra Leonean and Sierra Leonean community, since after the war, they migrated to the United States. They have been significantly, outstandingly show difference in Franklin. In everything they are doing, they do it to support the cause and the freedom that is in Franklin. The diversity in Franklin can unanimously be seen among Sierra Leoneans. Briefly, I would say, continue with it. We recognize that, and everything will work out well. Thank you.
On behalf of the Sierra Leone community here, you see a cross-section of us. I don't know how much I'll have to say. Thank you to our Mayor, Dr. Phil Kramer, and Councilman Charles Ononjaka, James Vasanella, and the rest of the people I see here. I know them by name, but for time, I don't want to call of them. They've helped us in various ways. 15 years ago, we did celebrate our 50th anniversary. And just like James Vasanella, our councilman, said, he's been our ambassador, and he was there with his child. And I know he's a big man now, he's a grown-up man now. Yes, so we're happy here. We're just going to say that, I just want to iterate what Councilman Charles Ononjaka said. May 2nd, on Saturday, we're having our 65th anniversary, and we're coming up, and it's a challenge. It will beat the 50th anniversary. We're ready for that. And we invite everyone here to be there. And the heritage, everything that portrays us, that exemplifies us, and those ties that we have with the Franklin Township will be portrayed to the highest. So I thank you very much for giving us that cohesion, that inclusion, and enjoying that diversity. Thank you so much. No, I'm just saying that we've spoken to the police department. Everything is in order, and a lot of help has been given. Like we had the last Juneteenth, where we met at the Juneteenth at the Franklin Middle School. That's where the procession will start, 10 a.m., and it will continue to the park, Norman Williams Park, and we'll be there. We'll have speeches, and some of you guys, I don't want to take you up, but you're going to be saying some nice speeches on behalf of the township and the county, Somerset County, and New Jersey, the state assemblyman. I just want to go on. And then we have, I think one of the councilmen said it, we call it like showcasing our Sierra Leone. We'll be having tents there. And then you're going to see profoundly who we Sierra Leoneans, the resilience and everything. All the people you see, these are heads, and they've done so well. And we have been here in this township for over 30 years, and we have kids who are now in high places in various segments, various aspects of the workforce of Franklin Township. And that is due to the compassion and empathy that Franklin is known for. So thank you very much.
It's time for public discussion. I ask for unanimous consent to open to the public. Hearing no objections, we're open to the public for comments. We have 5 minutes apiece. No yielding of time. May only come up once. Speak about anything to do with government. Please state your name and address.
Phyllis Beals, 6 Alma Court, Somerset. Good evening, Town Council members. I am here tonight as the co-chair of the Franklin Township Municipal Alliance Committee for the Prevention of Substance Abuse, and as the chair of the same Municipal Alliance Opiate Settlement Funds Advisory Committee. And before I forget, I want to thank especially Public Safety Director Fredericks, Councilwoman Francois, Deputy Mayor Karazi, and the other members of the Opiate Funds Advisory Committee for their support, and I'm very happy that we are coming together as a team to work on deciding how to best utilize the opiate settlement funds that have been coming into our municipality for 3 or 4 years. But I do want to point out to you that on the agenda, there is a resolution to vote to approve or disapprove this resolution for Community in Recovery Champion Program for an amount of $20,000 for 1 year of services, and that those funds will come from the opiate settlement funds. I urge you to vote yes on this resolution. The advisory committee met virtually last Tuesday, and it was unanimously agreed to put forward this recommendation, which is really our role, is to just provide advice to town council about how those funds can be utilized, along with working with our police department. Communities in Crisis, which will be the nonprofit that will be providing these services, is a nonprofit peer recovery center that supports each individual's unique path of recovery. Credentialed peer recovery specialists take a person-first approach, prioritizing safety, responsibility, and meaningful support for all. By the way, peer recovery coaches have been found to be an evidence-based, effective way for, one, assisting people who need treatment to get into it, because they have that first-person experience of knowing, I have been where you are now, and I can relate to what you're going through. And once they get into treatment, of helping to keep them in treatment and to continue to get the support they might need for vocational, housing, other services. The first 5 years of drug-free or sober living are critical. So if you think about it, you might say, oh, this is great. So-and-so went through rehab and he's done, or she's done 6 months and everything's going to be hunky-dory now. It's a long-term road, but people do recover. People are living in sober and drug-free lives, and it is possible. It's hard. It's not easy, and we know that there are stories that aren't successful, but it's so important that this support be maintained. So I just want to make you also aware that and I'm saying this partly for the public, I hope, who will listen or be watching this, that our Community in Crisis hub, which is at 873 Hamilton Street, announces 2 new youth-related initiatives. One is Teen Smart Recovery Meeting. And just so you know, the model for a long time has been NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And there are teen NA meetings, but a lot of teens don't take, and younger people don't take well to the NA approach. And Smart Recovery helps teens and adults, there are also adult Smart Recovery meetings, to make positive, life-changing decisions by managing their thoughts, handling challenges, and building a life that feels good and in control. It's a different approach. It's kind of like really stopping, thinking about what you might be facing, looking at that choice, am I going to go to this way or am I going to go that way? And so it's a slightly different approach that works well for many people. So they are now offering at the 873 Hamilton Street location Teen Smart Recovery meetings on Thursday evenings. And also CIC has formed a youth recovery committee, and they are looking for young adults and teens who have lived experience to help advise on what would be good to bring into our community. So that was pretty much, there was just one, our Opiate Funds Advisory Subcommittee could use some more representatives. We don't have anyone who has been in recovery for a period of time and has a picture or a voice of wisdom. We're still looking for someone who may fit in that role. And I think there's also going to be Narcan training going on also at the Hub on May 19th, and that's for anyone ages 14 and up. Everyone should know how to use Narcan, so they will be having a training there that day. And I think I'm sure I'm forgetting, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Theodore Chase, 159 Old Georgetown Road. Some weeks ago, I asked council where they were on joining the Lower Millstone watershed stormwater management plan. As you know, this is an integrated plan involving those parts of all of it, of a number of communities that are in the Lower Millstone watershed, including 69% of Franklin Township. At that time, I was just told, oh, it's under legal review, and I hadn't received any further information about that, although I'd sent a couple of emails. But last night at the Watershed Institute annual meeting, I was happy to talk with Mark Herman, the township engineer of Montgomery Township, who's really taken a leading role in organizing this joint plan. And he informed me that you had in fact approved this and in fact promised to send the financial contribution that all the towns are asked to send based on their amount of impervious surface within the watershed. As I said, well, Franklin has a large area in the watershed, really the whole east side of it. Fortunately, there's not too much impervious surface. So I thank you for approving this and joining into this integrated watershed plan, which is really the best way to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Linda Powell, 22 Buffer Drive. One of the things I've appreciated from this council, from our environmental commission, and living in this town, is your dedication to keeping the environment safe, caring about the land, the air, the water, and the health of our residents. We have had, I would say, a thorn in our side, but it's been more like a sort of Damocles hanging over our head, or a guillotine hanging over our head, and that's called the Nessie Project, the Northeast Supply Enhancement Project. I first learned about it in June of 2016. I think the first person I contacted was our mayor. The first community meeting I went to was at Councilman Singh's house. And we've defeated it several times with the help of people from New York State. And we thought it was a dead deal. However, after Trump got elected and he wanted to pay back his fossil fuel donors, we heard about this meeting that Governor of New York, Governor Hochul, was having with him, and immediately I thought, uh-oh, it's going to be Nessie again. And it was, along with the Constitution Pipeline. So we're asking people to call and write Governor Sherrill. This was approved by Governor Hochul and Governor Murphy before he left. And it's the same project. It's just as polluting as it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, all the times it was denied. It's going to pollute our air, it's going to pollute our water, it's going to cause health crises, especially in our area because of the gas-powered gas compressor station, which is highly polluted. And being a healthcare professional, one of the things that I looked into was all the health impacts. And there is not a system in our bodies that will not be adversely impacted by the type of pollution that this compressor station would spew into our atmosphere and undo a lot of the good that's been done. So if there's one more permit that it's needed, one more license that's needed by the Tidelands Resource Council, and there's going to be a virtual meeting at 10 a.m. next Wednesday. And if you want to get the details of it very easily, just go to cleanoceanaction.org's website, and all the information you'll need is right there, how to sign up, how to get on Teams, etc. But we're also asking people before then, as well as after then, to call Governor Sherrill at 609-292-6000, or to email her. One of the ways to email her is constituents.relations@nj.gov. And even if you don't want to speak at the meeting, we're trying to get as many people as possible to join. This might be our last hurrah to stop this project, which includes not only this polluting compressor station in our township, but also a new pipeline underneath Raritan Bay, which will drag up industrial toxins that have been laid dormant underneath the seabed for decades. And this will be resuspended into the bay and affect our shore economy, as well as come into the wetlands and affect our drinking water. So, explain to Governor Sherrill that this project uses frack gas. She thought it doesn't, and none of the gas is for New Jersey. We get nothing from this project except the pollution and the costs. That it's bad for our health, bad for our air, bad for our water, bad for our wetlands, tidelands, and shore, bad for our economy, bad for our climate, bad for New Jersey, and bad for the earth. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Deborah Inman, I-N-M-A-N, 67 Roberts Road. Township council meetings ought to provide residents with a safe space to raise concerns and share concerns about their neighborhoods or wards, free from retaliation. Such gatherings should encourage open expression, allowing individuals to voice their worries without hesitation. The conduct observed by several council members have been inappropriate and lacking in courtesy. Councilman Abarrison, your outburst at the last meeting was unwarranted, abrasive, and downright rude. To set the record straight, no one, or shall I say, I was not making an accusation. I just posed a question that the public had a right to know where Councilman Wright maintains a residence in the 4th Ward. Your reply was quite personal and this platform isn't the place for such response to valid questions. Mr. Von Locker often responds to residents' concerns or questions with a very abrasive tone that can sometimes come across as intimidating. In an email dated 10/1/2025 to Mayor Kramer, I raised concerns regarding unprofessionalism and disrespect demonstrated by several council members. I expressed my dismay at how the current council responded to a resident in a manner I found truly appalling. After the meeting on 4/14/2026, I conveyed these same concerns to Deputy Mayor Councilman at Large Karazi. Additionally, I noted that most residents are hesitant to attend these meetings due to apprehension about being subjected to disrespectful behavior or feeling demeaned when their perspectives do not align with those on the dais. It is disappointing that tax-paying residents whose contributions fund their salaries must endure inappropriate behavior from those elected to serve and represent them. I have expressed this behavior, and I refuse to tolerate being addressed in a manner that lacks respect or professionalism. Lastly, I encourage all members of the dais to reflect on their past actions and strive to interact with positivity with residents who attend the meetings that voice their concerns and ask their questions.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Seeing no one, come forward to ask unanimous consent to close public portion. Without objection, public portion is closed. We address the public. Ms. Beals, thank you for your comments. It's on our consent agenda, the resolution for $20,000. I bet it'll pass, but I don't know. Mr. Chase, thank you for following up on the watershed issues. Without Councilman Potasnik here, it's good to have you snapping the whip behind us to remind us. Ms. Powell, Nessie it's like Chucky in the movies. You just can't kill it. Thank you for reminding us of that. Ms. Inman, thank you for your comments.
Mr. Mayor, could I just add one comment to Councilman Chase? There's a force of habit to Dr. Chase's. Dr. Chase, I don't know if Mark had mentioned to you at the meeting that project is now being funded by a DEP grant?
Yeah, I think it's one of these where you spend the money and then you get...
Correct, it's a reimbursement grant. That's correct. But it nonetheless is, it's... We do. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, last meeting, Mr. Iman and Mr. Walker and Mrs. Iman asked a question about the Councilman Wright residency, and I mentioned to both of them before the meeting that Councilman Wright lives in Ward 4, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Council comments. We'll start with Mr. Singh.
So I want to start by thanking Ms. Beals for her meaningful community message. It's important, and I support that. I also want to thank Ms. Powell for being part of protesting the compressor station with William Transco and the NEC project. It's been a 10-year fight, and I want to thank everyone. And there is a large portion of my first ward that's been part of that protest. So I want to thank everyone for all the tireless effort that has been made towards it. And I personally continue to support that protest as we go along. We got one more gate to get through, and I hope that permit gets denied. I also want to report that I had the opportunity to attend my first Environmental Commission meeting last week, and what stood out to me was the depth of thought and depth of commitment of the members of that commission, and their commitment to practical local solutions. And I know one of the finest from that group is out here tonight, Mr. Volodski. I always say this: good policy starts with informed discussion. And one of the discussions that we had last week when I was with the Environmental Commission was the solution of portable solar. And I would like to share a message, not just with my ward, but with our entire community, that everyone should look at it. It's a solution that drives sustainability, and it's a solution that drives affordability. So, and just for those two reasons, we should all take a look at that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Embarrasson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This last couple of weeks, we had a number of events in Township. One of them was my favorite sponsored event, Tour de France, to benefit the food bank. Tour de France. Tour de France.
They got a chuckle out of the gallery over here.
Tour de France. I used to live in France, for whatever that is worth. Anyway, so I think the turnout was slightly lower than last year because of the weather, we think. Although it was raining the previous night, the day started out cold, but kind of improved throughout the day. Last year, I think they raised about 130,000. I'm not sure what the final number is going to be this year. Hopefully match that or even more. I'm a proud sponsor of that event every year. So if you go around town, you see my picture on one of those boards that they have all around. I was happy to do it every year. Other than that, there was a land use meeting. We discussed some upcoming ordinances and some other issues. Part of the county workforce development board, I participated in a site visit in Hunterdon County Educational Service Commission. It's a monitoring visit for the money that they receive from the board. So we went and spent an afternoon with the good folks there who help SNAP recipients get to work by training them in various programs that they offer. So it's a very good program that they do, and they have notable success in getting people off the roads and get into employment. Very good project. And then we continue to meet with the YMCA folks to continue to raise money for the YMCA. We are all doing that whenever we get a chance. Hopefully that'll become a reality in the near future. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Francois.
Yeah, I'd like to report. Last Saturday, April 18th, we had a resource fair at the youth center. And it was a really nice job training, vocational training. The kids came with their resumes. They applied for jobs. We had over 26 businesses there. We even had summer youth employment opportunities from the township. And we even had free brunch. And I was able to eat pancakes and waffles and French toast and bacon and turkey bacon and eggs. It was quite a brunch. But it was a really, really nice event. And more importantly, we also had the motor vehicles mobile unit there so that the kids could apply for their driver's license.
And I actually got an appointment and was able to finally get my real ID. So it wasn't just for the kids, it was also for the parents. The parents were bringing their kids with them to get their driver's license. So it was like a 360-degree event for the families and the kids. And I think we had quite a bit of parents that were there that really enjoyed the opportunity for the kids to get exposure to what type of vocational training would be out there, what kind of summer youth employment opportunities are available. And we plan to do that every year. This is our third year doing that. Every year it gets bigger and bigger. This was the first year we had a brunch, and the kids seemed to like that a lot. We had a DJ. It was a nice event. It was only from 9 to 1, and the kids showed up very early. They were there early. They were dressed to impress. It was a nice event. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Basanella.
Thank you, Mayor. So I've attended a handful of meetings. I'm just, one being Shade Tree, they're doing a quick report as they update council yearly. I'm not going to get into that. We had a public safety meeting. We're reviewing some options of how to utilize a piece of property Township owns for hopefully an asset, maybe an area of training to our firefighters and first responders, but we're reviewing that, and we'll bring ideas and final decisions to the table here, or to the public, but we're going through that process now. But whatever we do, hopefully will increase the what is now a very high standard of first responders, especially volunteers in our community, and perhaps even be able to make it even a higher standard. Congratulations to everybody here with the proclamations. By the way, I echo, Councilman Singh has been much more involved in the Nessie situation, but I echo, having been following it for the entire duration on council, echo what he said. We'll see what happens. And just real quickly, to follow up, I do want to acknowledge St. Matthias once again. Public education is the backbone of education in this country, as it has been and always should be. But there are choices, and it does require sacrifice. My parents put 4 children through Catholic school, and a lot of sacrifice to do that, whether you're putting 1, 4, or 10. It's a personal choice, but I know the school and the community works with people. If you desire to be there, I'm sure it'll find a way to do it. It's not for everybody, but I'm grateful I had the opportunity, and any sacrifices involved have been paid back 1,000-fold. And there's a few schools, not just St. Matthias in our town. One, our deputy mayor very modestly was involved with launching. I'm not going to get into the other schools, but we have a great public school system here, public school district, and we have some other really great options in our community, and we're all blessed for those options. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Onijaka.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. One, the HRC will have their next meeting June 24th. May it's not going to be possible on May because of the Memorial Day. So, and Father Lance from Matthias, the new pastor, will do their presentation. Okay, one more thing that I want to use this opportunity to express our happiness, the African community, how we are being accommodated in Franklin. We are part of Franklin, and most especially being led by Sierra Leone community. They came out immediately after the war, and they were granted asylum. So they've been here more than any of these West African countries. And they've had a full integration. But one more thing left is we, the African community, we are trying to find a place we can build our hall and display our culture and display our artifacts. It has been our demand for a long time. But hopefully one day we know it's going to come by. We will succeed in getting one. Thank you, Mayor. This is what I have.
Thank you, Councilman Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank the council for allowing me to have a couple of days off for personal reasons. I appreciate that. things happen in life, and we all have to step through the gates. So I did my little thing, and I'm glad to be back. One quick message. I received an email, and it had something to do with the Somerset County Recycling Program about the bins that are placed out, the blue bins. I received the big bins that look like garbage cans. I received them over in front of my house. And my in-laws, they live 2 blocks away. They are still operating on the small bins. And a couple of times people have asked me, well, why did you get them and why didn't I get them? I was a block away. So I didn't know, so I went up the chain, went up the food chain as it were, and the county said, well, they received money for them. They got grants for those bins, and not everyone got them in town. And we may not be getting them all over town, as it were, at one particular moment. But I'm going to rely on somebody's brain that I think has a little more in-depth knowledge, even though I'm putting him on the spot for this. And that's going to swing down there to the big guy at the end.
Sure.
And say, Bob, talk to me.
So I attended a conference at the county about a month and a half ago, and one of the topics that was discussed was this topic in particular. And the director of Public Works, Vinnie Russo, spoke at that event and advised all of us that unfortunately the rollout of the larger containers has been delayed for a number of years now, related to their ability to procure the trucks that are, we'll call them one-armed bandits, for lack of a better term. Those trucks, not only do they lift up the containers, but those trucks also sort the materials inside the truck before it's brought to the recycling center in Bridgewater that the county operates. So they do not anticipate for several years being able to continue to roll out the larger containers for those who have not received them. It's simply a matter of being able to procure the necessary vehicles to utilize those large bins. So that's the answer in a nutshell. So those who have them, I mean, I have them, and what I note is that oftentimes my recycling is picked up with a standard garbage truck as opposed to the truck with the arm to lift up the large buckets, because they only have a small number of those trucks, and their fleet is insufficient in size to cover the entire county, and they've already overextended with what they've put out up to now. So that's not the short answer, that's the complete answer.
So it's going to be a little while before.
I would not anticipate it for several years.
For several years.
Yeah.
Okay, because at one point I thought it was a grant that was given out, but it was just flat out.
Nope.
We ordered them, we didn't come through, and
Yep.
can't get enough trucks.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So I hope that answers that question for everyone out there in the viewing public, because that's definitely a timely answer, and I thank you for giving it to us. Other than that, I'm done, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Councilman Carl Wright. We are happy to see that you're back. So let me start by thanking Councilman Ambrasen for being a sponsor. And I happen to be a director at Masjid Ali and also president of Sadiq School, which is a private school similar to San Matthias, and I'm happy that both of them actually were sponsors of the tour of the Franklin, and you'll see our logos on the big board, so we're really happy to be able to become a sponsor. I also wanted to really recognize Mrs. Phyllis Beal. She has been an amazing contributor and the chair for the Municipal Alliance Opioid Fund Advisory Subcommittee, and we really thank for all the work you do, really, it's amazing. And my neighbor Linda Powell and my partner in the Democratic Committee. I really appreciate what you do. You know, I enjoy seeing you walking in our neighborhood with your husband, and it's always blessing to see you when you walk and have the opportunity to talk to you. So much. So thank you so much for all you do, especially for this project. I guess that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to thank the enormous number of people who wished me well during my illness. I can tell you now that after several studies, it is not life-threatening, has to do with my digestive system, and you don't want to know anything more. Mr. Manager, your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have several events upcoming that I would like to announce. One of them is to be held here in this room tomorrow between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., and it is sponsored by Assemblyman Danielson. It is a senior fraud forum. It's in collaboration with the other people up here minus the township attorney, so that means the mayor and council. I believe the mayor is going to be in attendance. I would imagine several council members as well. Why attend? Speak directly to professionals that specialize in frauds and scams. Educate yourself on the different types of scams from local law enforcement as well as state and federal officials. Learn how to protect yourself and your money, and find out what to do when you think you've been scammed. So, Senior Fraud Forum, courtesy of Assemblyman Danielson and Mayor and Council. The next three items, I have to go to an email that was sent to me by our Special Projects Manager, who said if I don't announce these, she's going to have me pay for it tomorrow. The first is to be held Saturday, May 2nd, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., the Not Quite Wine and Cheese art opening to be held at the Senior Center, 505 DeMott Lane. Come and enjoy an eclectic mix of local artists at Franklin's third annual art opening. Experience the arts, meet the artists, purchase original pieces, and enjoy refreshments as you step into our amazing gallery of Franklin Township's most talented artists. On Wednesday, May 6th, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m., QPR, Question, Persuade, Refer, Suicide Prevention Certification Course. Also to be held at the Senior Center, 505 DeMott Lane. Franklin Township residents and community members will have the opportunity to take part in a free evidence-based suicide prevention training on May 6th as the Franklin Township Stigma-Free Council partners with Empower Somerset to host QPR. Question, Persuade, Refer, a free suicide prevention certification course. And then finally, I think I have one here. I do. Available now is the Franklin 250 Passport. It looks like this, and there will be, I think there's some out in window at various locations within the municipal complex. They will also be at all of the locations listed in the Passport, and let me explain to you what this is. Franklin Township has officially launched the Franklin 250 Passport Program, an initiative designed to celebrate local businesses while encouraging residents to explore the community in honor of America's upcoming 250th anniversary. Residents can collect 15 passport stamps at participating businesses for a chance to win prizes. Passports are available at participating businesses, the municipal building, or the community senior center. I think I just said all of those things, where they would be. Completed passports must be submitted by Friday, September 4th. Winner will be announced at Franklin Day, which will be after September 4th. So if you are able to go, you don't necessarily have to buy anything, but if you go visit the businesses, some of them have coupons for discounts. Here's Amwell Auto Clinic, was at the corner of Amwell and Cedar Grove. BAM Desserts, Confectionally Yours, DeMeglio Realty, Franklin Park Diner, and a number of other businesses. I won't sit and read them all. But if you get 15 stamps in your passport and give it to us, then you'll be entered into a raffle for prizes to be awarded at Franklin Day Festival. So, and that is what I have to report today, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. On to item number 10, the council discussion item. The agenda are available next to the clerk, so you can follow along. But number 10 is council discussion item. Shade Tree Commission report, Steve Gahuli. Mr. Gahuli is going to cast some shade on us.
No casting shade.
The good kind of shade. Good kind of shade. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you, clerks. We're multimedia this year. We're going to do some slides instead of just talking. And I'm going to keep it very short. Just wanted to give the council, good evening, I'm Steve Galluli. I'm the chair of the Shade Tree Commission, your volunteer panel that manages the trees and shrubs on public property in the township. So one of the things we do is to try to increase the amount of trees in town. The other thing we do is try to do more public outreach. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to come back and talk to you about what we've done over the past year and where we're going with our goals in years to come. All right. If you could go to the next page. Unfortunately, I don't have any good news for you on the status of our tree cover or canopy cover for Franklin Township. For the year, the most recent year we have data, which is 2023, we've lost a couple hundred acres of tree coverage over the town. That's just a result of the natural removal of trees for developments, whether it's a warehouse, residential, or commercial developments. Older trees being removed, replaced by smaller trees. What we're trying to do as the Shade Tree Commission is we can't certainly plant thousands and thousands of trees to replace all the ones we're losing, but we can plant trees in key locations and study the canopy and try to educate the public so that we can make trees available to them at lower costs. So we'll talk a little bit about how we're doing some of that. What else are we doing? Yeah, the area we're focusing on this year also is in wards 4 and 5, one of our more densely populated areas of the township, and also part of the township that was identified in our public health survey as having some health impacts from the environment. What we're doing there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, is focusing some of our efforts with our community forestry management planning to put more trees into those 2 wards. And if you go to the next page, please. There is some good news for this year. So that was the tough news. The good news is we planted over 60 new trees in parks and roadways along the township. Our DPW crews have been extremely busy, and I can't say enough about how expert and how professional they are about identifying locations for trees, getting new varieties of trees. You'll see in Rutgers Heights Park, we now have coffee trees. They don't literally grow coffee. That's just what they're called because they look like, their bark looks like the color of coffee. They're robust, strong trees that put up with drought, high temperatures, and dry times, which is becoming more common in the Northeast United States as our climate develops and changes. We just finished, and we're in the middle actually, of our community tree sale. We sold, we had 20 trees for sale, white oaks and service berries, which are, service berries are more, they're called an autumn glory. They are beautiful red trees in the fall, white flowers in the spring. That's more of a flowering shade tree. And we have the good old mighty white oaks that will grow pretty much anywhere you put them. They're great for tough areas in the town, especially where there's thin topsoil and some of our shale. So good news this year is we had almost twice as many residents buy trees from us this year. We have a few trees left over, and what we're doing with the trees left over is partnering with the Meadows Foundation to plant trees on the historic properties in town. So we're going to have some trees at, and especially one particular tree is going to go in to the Van Leeuw Sudam house, one of the oldest houses in town. We have one of the Salem oak trees. We got 2 from the state. If you're not familiar, the Salem oak tree was a 600-year-old tree down in Salem County. It was literally the place where the early Native Americans met with the early European settlers to talk about how they were going to coexist in the Delaware Valley, southern New Jersey area. This tree had been there literally for hundreds and hundreds of years. The original inhabitants said that it had been there as long as they had been there. So beautiful, beautiful tree. Unfortunately, it passed away a couple of years ago. What the state did was just before it died, it was by coincidence, they gathered up all the acorns and started growing new trees from the acorns from that tree. So every community in New Jersey got 2 of those. We have two. One is planted out front here. You'll notice out by the old schoolhouse, there's a little fence to protect our little Salem oak tree. It's doing well. The tree has not escaped the fence yet, but it's getting bigger, so we might have to make a bigger fence. The second tree will go in a similar type enclosure to protect it from deer down at the Van Lucy Dam House as soon as we get a location identified with the Meadows Foundation. Some of the other trees will go in at the Wyckoff Garrettson House and the gosh, I can't remember the name of the house on Easton Avenue, but we're going to put some down there as well. Van Wickle, thank you, to replace some of the trees lost to storms and flooding down there. So the idea is that we focus on the properties that are public properties in the town. We can put some trees around to improve the tree cover and improve some of the shade cover as well. We're doing right now, we have a consultant from an engineering company. We needed someone who's certified in this area to do a tree inventory in wards 4 and 5. What that does is not only tell us what trees we have and where they are, but it also tells us the health and type of the trees so that we can inform a plan for what we can do to improve that tree coverage in wards 4 and 5. So the tree inventory is a necessary input into the next big thing we're required to have by the state, which is that community forestry management plan. That plan is broadly described as what we're going to do about our trees for the next 5 years or so. All the towns in the state of New Jersey are required to have a forestry management plan. All the towns in New Jersey are a little bit behind on replacing their plans because of the shortage of certified arborists to help us with those plans. We were able to get someone who is certified to do that work for us. And what we'll have coming out of that is a focused plan on wards 4 and 5 with an inventory that helps us look at where we can put the most trees to impact things like heat island effects, which is where you have a lot of asphalt paving that heats up in the summertime, replacing some of the trees that are there with larger ones to provide shade and improve the community and the air quality in that area of the town. So really exciting. We're hoping to see that plan soon. There's a lot of work going into that. I get questions from the consultant every day on that one as well. And I'm leaving the best to last, Mr. Vasanella, the big project we have coming up this year. We also just finished our Tree City USA certification. We just hit our 24th year in a row as a Tree City USA city. I thought we were doing well, then I found out that Paramus has been a Tree City USA for 50 years. So, oh well, we'll try to catch up to them. We're also continuing a lot of our community outreach. We were just at the Community Green Fair at Franklin High School on Saturday with the Environmental Commission, with the Open Space Commission, and we're trying to make some more inroads with the Board of Education and with some of their personnel to help start putting trees on their property as well. So although the Shade Tree Commission and the DPW does not manage the trees on Board of Ed property, there are grants and funds available from the state to help with that, with increasing the number of trees on school properties, and we're partnering with the school board to try to get more interest in that and help them through the application process to get those grant funds to put more trees on school properties. One of the teachers came up to me on Saturday and said that her kids at Elizabeth Avenue complained that it's hot out on the fields and they would love to have some shade, and she asked if we can give her a tree. I said, I would be happy to give you a tree, but you can get trees for free from the state. You just have to fill out the forms. So we're going to try to partner with Elizabeth Avenue and some of the people there to get those forms filled out and get some of the available funds from the state of New Jersey. And of course, I buried the lead. Here's the biggest thing we're working on this year. One of our key projects is going to be reforesting Castleton Park, the area of Castleton Park that used to be the Bartha Farm, Bartha House down there. So that's going to be, we're going to call it the Bartha Woods. It started as an idea from the DPW to replace a few dead trees in the eastern part of Castleton Park that's down near Easton Avenue. Coincidental with some work going on, some industrial work going on from a pipeline company, the conversation began with, what if we put in 2 or 3 trees? If you remember, Mr. Vasadella was there for these meetings, and we said, 2 or 3 trees would be great. What about 5 trees? What about a few more trees? And then a couple of members of our tree commission, Mary and Bob and Ellen, all said, what about 100 trees? We said, how would you do that? And we started looking around in Montgomery Township and other areas of New Jersey. They've done projects where they use some advanced tree arboring techniques to plant smaller trees in, they look like plastic tubes, but it helps the trees, it protects the trees from pests and from deer, but it also encourages the tree to grow quickly. And we now, I'm proud to say, we have released a bid request for contractors to help us. We have a complete plan laid out for planting 100 trees to reforest the Bartha Woods in Castleton Park. Hopefully, if the bids come in on time and if the contractors are ready and all the ducks get lined up properly, we might have trees in the ground by this summer. So that would be lovely. If we didn't make it to this summer, we might make it into have the trees in for the fall planting season as well. Some shrubbery around the trees, some covered areas. What that's going to do for us is a couple of things. It's going to not just add to the tree canopy, which is valuable in and of itself. It's going to change the nature of that area of the park, which is the hill that goes down to Easton Avenue. And it's going to provide kind of a wooded grove feel to that part of the park. It's going to provide sight lines to block, the view of Easton Avenue from the rest of the park. And it's also going to provide a whole change to the sound aspects of the park so that it's quieter, it's greener, and it's going to be a little more enjoyable. That's just the next phase of our work. So this is a bit of an experiment. The first big project we did was a couple years ago with the tree plantings on Hamilton Street. That went pretty well. We're following up with engineering with the contractor to replace some of the trees that didn't make it and a couple of trees that had been hit by cars, that kind of thing. Well, that project went well. We learned a lot from that project. This project is capitalizing on that with some of the newer technologies and some of the requirements we're asking from the bidders. And our next project we haven't even started thinking about yet. So hopefully we'll start doing that kind of focused adding of trees to the parts of town that need them the most to really make an impact where we can. All right, and my last slide. Oh, well, two more, sorry. I think you guys know this. I've bored you with this stuff before, but why trees matter, and I included a picture of Hamilton Street, and if you look on the right there, that's the area in front of what used to be, what was it, the Somerset Pharmacy, John's Shoe Store. If you notice, just along that sidewalk there, that's one of the areas where we planted for Hamilton Street. What that's doing is those trees are going to change that area from being sort of an asphalt landscape of kind of hot in the summer, kind of that bleak looking, just a parking lot between buildings, into a green corridor where you're going to have trees on both sides of the road. It'll take a couple of years for those trees to come in. But what you're going to see is, this is why trees matter to an area like that in our town. The trees will reduce the overall air temperature in that area almost 10 degrees on a hot day. They'll reduce the amount of energy needed to cool buildings by shading them in the summertime and allowing sun through to heat them in the wintertime. 15 trees are enough to offset the carbon footprint of each person. So for each 15 trees we put down Hamilton Street, that fully offsets the carbon footprint of one resident in town. And actually, having tree cover in your neighborhoods will increase your home values 4 to 5% just by the trees. So it's economically valuable, it's environmentally valuable, and it improves the community and improves health in the community. So that's why we love our trees so much. And then finally, our last thing, here are our goals for the year coming up. As I mentioned, we're going to reforest Castleton Park. We're calling it Bartha Woods in honor of the original owners of the land, I think, that was donated to the town to form the park. We're updating our community forestry management plans and getting our urban forestry accreditation up to date. It's all the paperwork's into the state for all those kind of things. We just have to follow up with the forestry guys to get that done. We're going to start working a little bit more, and I think you'll see some things coming back here to council. We're going to work with environmental and open space to take a look at our tree replacement ordinances. There's a couple of areas of the ordinance where we think we can do better. One of them is specifically on the requirement for how many trees get replaced when a developer or a builder has to take down trees in order to make their project work. So naturally, when you go through, you have to take down some trees. The developers try to replace as many as they can. Sometimes they can't replace them all. So we have an ordinance that says, if you can't replace them all, you have to put funds into our tree fund. What we'd like to do is two things: increase the cost of each tree to represent the true cost of what it would take for our town to plant a tree, and also to look at the formula used to make sure that they're including all the trees that are being taken down. So the formulas are a little generous, in my opinion, and the costs are a little low. So we don't want to end up accidentally helping developers take down trees. We want to make it as close to one-for-one replacement as practical. Some towns, I think Princeton has gone to a one-to-one replacement. I think Jersey City as well. I don't think that would be practical for our town. Some of these developments that go in, I think we had one recently, it came through the planning board, that will take down over 1,000 trees. It wouldn't be, even if a developer came to us with a truck and said, here's 1,000 trees, where do you want them? I don't know that we could put them all on the ground at once. What we want to do is make sure that we work with our developers and the residents in town that when we do development, when we do have to have new building, we don't want to lose our canopy if we can avoid it. We're going to increase our community outreach some more. One of the things we really, really want to do better at is helping the town understand the trees we put in the ground, especially things, corridors like Hamilton Street, letting the business owners know down there that the tree in front of your business is a shared resource. Don't be shy. You can water it all you want. Let us know if you see something happening to it, if someone drives into it, or if the stakes fall off or something like that, who to call so that we can share the ownership of those assets. They're very expensive. We'd like to make sure that they survive. We'd also like to do a little bit more, as I said, with the Board of Ed and with some of the school organizations to get the knowledge of trees and the value of trees into younger hands so that they can do more with them over the years. And of course, get ready for our 25th year as a Tree City USA community next year. So thank you very much. Just wanted to give another huge compliment to our township staff, our DPW, and all the teams at Franklin that not only put up with us, but also support us tremendously with hard work and expertise in managing the trees and doing the actual work. We just talk, they do the work. So it's been a great partnership, and we're looking forward to another year.
And just want to mention one thing. We're dealing with a budget tonight. Everybody should know that I believe 100% of all these projects we've done, are doing, and want to do come from a trust fund, that you cannot use the money for other things or budget or anything else. So just so people know, this is not only wonderful, it is money that otherwise would sit dormant and is not have any effect on the budget.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Stephen, great job planting trees in town. I have a thought, and I'll just throw it out to you. A couple of years ago, I happened to visit Branch Brook Park in New York, North Ward. They have these cherry blossom trees all over the place. A lot of people go there, visit. Can I just float that idea? Maybe we should have cherry blossom trees, hundreds, thousands of them throughout town, so we make Franklin a destination for tourists or visitors.
That's a great idea. You know, actually, the town years ago planted pear trees out in front of the municipal complex here. Before, pear trees now are not in favor because they're an invasive species and a bunch of other things. You're not really supposed to plant them anymore. So, but they're gorgeous for the first couple of weeks of the spring when they're white, and then they smell terrible and they spread and all that kind of stuff. Eventually, those trees will be taken down. Eventually, they'll be too large. They start to split and fall down. I would recommend that they be replaced with a cherry grove or something like that. That would look much more pretty and right here in the middle of our municipal complex. We can do it in other places as well. It's really just a matter of the cost and finding the locations.
I have a comment. So I know you're doing a lot, but one of the things that came to my mind as you were talking, a lot of the education needs to go to the residents. I'll use myself as an example. My house has about 25 trees in the backyard, and some of the trees are like overhanging my house. And so when the landscapers, they come, they tell me, get rid of those trees. You need to cut them trees down. You shouldn't have trees too close to your house. Not only that, the trees bring in bugs. You can't open up the windows. So most homeowners, what they'll do is they'll say, cut down the tree, right? Because they don't want to be bothered with storms and what could potentially happen. I've had like 4 or 5 trees fall down on top of my house. I'd have to get them cut down. And I bought the house because I love the trees, but now I found that the trees have become a liability. So like, even though I know I love trees, but to a certain extent, if we had more of a residential education campaign to let people know that they shouldn't be cutting down trees, to make your house more beautiful, the facade and all that kind of stuff, because we need the trees. I think that would be helpful as well.
Thank you. No, I think that's a great idea, and I think you hit on exactly the right point. I've talked to some of my neighbors who have similar experiences, and what I find is that you don't know where to get good advice, right? You be careful of the person who shows up with a chainsaw and says, I make a living cutting down trees. You really should cut down your trees. But at the same time, trees can get too large, and the wrong kinds of trees can be, or trees get sick, that kind of stuff as well. But I totally agree with you that one of our goals is to educate our residents on the different types of trees and who you can use to manage your trees. It's really interesting. I learned that when you talk to professional tree management people, arborists and that kind of stuff, they're like talking to a doctor. Like if you talk to a doctor about someone who's sick, they're very, very black and white. Like do this and stop complaining and take your medicine and move on. Arborists are the same. They're like, cut that thing down and plant a nice one. Cut down that tree. It's too big. Get a good tree in there. But it would help our residents a lot, I think, to have some more resources. We have some on our website, on the township website, but it's not enough. People have to come looking for it. So we want to get out there a little bit more and be more visible.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful. Thank you.
I think Mr. Galuli's a little modest, though. I'm looking at the website right now because I knew that there were resources on there. And there is a page that is called, hold on, Recommended Trees to Plant in Franklin Township. And there is a list of what looks to be probably about 75 or so different trees, giving you the width group, how wide it grows, the height group, how high it grows, what its mature height is, its common name, its botanical name, and planting directions, and what have you. What trees fall within the public service tree right place guidance. See, because that's an important thing, Councilman. You talk about flowering trees and things. So flowering trees are beautiful for a short period of time, but they also create a maintenance issue. They clog gutters and catch basins because the flowers fall off. And public service has a very, very specific list of trees to be planted in the public right away under power lines. So so those are the kind of things, and this list right here talks a lot about that. So, there you go. You're a little modest, as I said, Steve.
Thanks. Yeah, one of the
but
things
there is some great information on our Shade Tree Commission website. People should go to that website if you are interested in planting a tree in your yard. Sometimes you have to take a tree down and you'd like to plant something in its place, and maybe you can plant something that would be less threatening to your home in the case of a storm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Council,
one of the things that PSE&G does very, very well with us is they have that Right Tree, Right Place program where they'll help homeowners and the public figure out what type of tree to put near their power lines. They don't like to, if the worst thing you've ever seen, you drive down the street, you probably see the big old tree with the center cut out. They have to protect their utility lines from that stuff. And our crews, our DPW crews, are actually licensed and trained on how to protect the utility lines from the overgrowth of a tree like that. That was the wrong tree. They planted a big, huge tree underneath a power line. Yeah. So if you'll notice on Hamilton Street, the types of trees our arborists picked out to plant there only grow to about 8 or 10 feet. And those are all approved by PSE&G. They won't interfere with the overhead lines. They won't lift the sidewalks because they have very vertical roots instead of horizontal root systems, that kind of stuff. So we learn over time. If you go back to when, like the neighborhood I grew up in behind St. Matthias Church, the developer came in and put in buttonwood trees, which were beautiful. And buttonwoods are notorious for lifting sidewalks. The town, I would imagine, back in the 1960s was excited about thousands of free trees by a developer. And then the town 20 years later had to come back and repair all the sidewalks and remove all those trees.
But Councilwoman, thank you for bringing it up, and Bob too, because it's really across the board, not just PSE&G. What you plan and where you plant it is basically the most important thing that you can do. And maybe, Councilwoman, I would love to see as a project, not planting, but to have a town hall that brings together the people in a practical way to deal with the things. I know exactly what you're talking about, and kind of bring it to the people. Although the Shade Tree does public, manage and plants public, we can definitely do that for them. And help for the people on their private land.
Yeah, because when I bought my house, I had little trees in front. They looked so nice, but they were so big and they grew up so high. I had to get them cut down, and I almost cried because I was like, wow, these trees, you want to keep the trees, but they had to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Sir, there are no comments at this portion of the meeting.
But you could get together with Mr. Gahuli.
You could talk to Mr. Gahuli after he's done.
So, anything else?
That's all. Thank you very much. I
Thank
don't know if
you.
you've noticed, Mr. Mayor, we've turned Mr. Vasanella into a tree expert as well. That was the hardest work we did this year.
I'm just the liaison, busy liaison.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 11, approval of the minutes. There are none. Item number 12, approval of the warrants. Time to pay the bills in the amount of $6,373,976.43 on April 28th, 2026 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Do we have a motion on the warrants?
I move that the warrants as read be paid.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Bless us.
Any discussion? Anyone would like to pull an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer? Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
And now the main event, the ordinance on introduction and first reading of calendar year 2026 municipal budget. Ordinance number 4502-26, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank for the foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law and public hearing, and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, May 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do we have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. So this is the appropriation to, or the ordinance to allow us to exceed or create a cap bank for appropriations. Appropriations have a cap. We've usually been under the cap. We're going to go over it this year.
No. Not the appropriations.
Not the
cap.
appropriate, okay.
No.
So we can, by not exceeding the cap bank year after year, we can save up to a time that we have to. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Resolution 26-179, authorized to read the self-examination of the budget resolution as required by DCA. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
And then authorize introduction of 2026 municipal budget to set a public hearing date. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
And seconded. So we have discussion on that. Is now the time you'd like to present?
Yeah, this is so you're introducing the budget, so now's the time for me to talk. Is that what you're asking for, Mr. Mayor? Yes, now is the time for me to talk. So, Mayor and Township Council, the calendar year 2026 budget, which you all should have received, including the library and grants, is set at $75,289,361.55. This is an increase of $1,371,030.74 from the calendar year 2025 budget. The budget increase is mainly due to a $3.373 million increase in several statutory and mandatory operating expenses primarily. A net increase in the township's self-insured medical benefits costs of $1.067 million, which is an increase of 8.61%. This increase is significantly lower than the New Jersey State Health Benefits Plan increase for local governments that is recommended at 36.2% for this year. The amount included in the calendar year 2026 budget would have been significantly higher without employee contribution increases and had we not utilized $3.44 million from the medical trust account to supplement part of the costs. The calendar year 2026 utilization of medical trust account funds is a $1.44 million increase over the calendar year 2025 amount. An increase in liability and workers' compensation insurance at $131,496. An increase in the library tax of $704,688, which is as per a mandated state formula. An increase in utilities, street lighting and fuel of $213,000. An increase in the snow removal budget due to the two large storms earlier in 2026 of $250,000. An increase in recycling and trash removal costs of $460,000. An increase for the reserve for uncollected taxes of $300,000, which is also per a mandated state formula. An increase in overall salary and wage expenses, and this is, I just want to stress here, this is the overall salary and wage for all funds and departments. Water utility, open space budget, this is an overall increase of $728,062, which is a 2.3% increase over 2025 and is less than the current inflation rate of 3.3% for the 12-month period ending March 31st, 2026. There was also a decrease in state aid of $239,000. The budget reductions that were made after the budget hearings that were held earlier this year, there was an elimination of 8 budgeted but vacant staff positions and the summer seasonal DPW positions for a total of $669,000. The elimination of 14 bonded capital projects that were proposed at the budget hearing. Those projects totaled $1.928 million. However, bonded capital requires only a 5% capital improvement fund appropriation. Therefore, this equates to a $96,400 reduction. The reduction of operating expenses in the legal, accumulated leave, salary adjustment, and tax appeal reserve for a total of $1.17 million. Additional key budget items. Utilization of fund balance of $10.32 million, a decrease of $1.6 million from last year. This decrease is due to insufficient regeneration of fund balance over the past 5 years. Without sufficient regeneration of fund balance, the township will continue to use more of its quote-unquote savings than it puts back. Utilizing more than is regenerated over time will ultimately lead to a structural deficit. Decreasing the amount utilized together with raising the amount to be raised by municipal taxes will help to avoid that scenario. Road paving, sidewalk, and stormwater capital projects are budgeted at $3.75 million. These projects will be bonded, resulting in a capital improvement fund appropriation of $187,500. Movement of $413,000 in employee costs from current fund budget to open space trust fund budget. The open space trust fund budget for 2026 is still $484,165 below the 2025 budget, due primarily to decreased appropriations for cash capital projects and decreased debt service. Amount to be raised by taxes. The calendar year 2026 amount to be raised by municipal taxes is increasing $2.729 million from $38,993,310 to $41,722,842, or 7% increase, allowing the township to handle mandatory increases while still maintaining a high level of municipal services and stabilizing the use of fund balance. Township assessed valuations increased from $16,697,000,000 plus in 2025 to $17,366,000,000 plus, or a $668,928,800 increase in assessed valuations. That's a 4.01% increase year over year. The average home value of $555,485 in 2025 has increased $17,056 or 3.07% to $572,541 in 2026. Due to this increased value, the average home will see a municipal-only tax increase from $1,299.83 to $1,374.10, an increase of $74.26 or 5.71%, again, for the municipal-only portion of the tax bill.
So, thank you. I was going to, you could put up your slide, or my slides.
I will. I just need you to put on this HDMI.
So I'm going to go over, I had a discussion with a Mrs. Riley who called to complain that tonight is also the night that the school board is passing their budget. Did I know that? And she wanted us to change our schedule because of that, because now people can't come to both. I pointed out to her that we're introducing while they're passing, so they can still come to our budget when it's time to comment. I also pointed out that this has been, this is our usual date for meetings, and they changed the date for their meeting. But it also became a discussion of she made the point that we should really point out what we are cutting, what we are doing to prevent as much of a tax increase as we're going to increase it. So Mr. Vornlocker and I spent hours and hours and hours and came up with this spreadsheet, which will be available on the web. These, I want to point out these amounts are rounded, they're approximate. Exact calculations for some of these values would be actually very time-consuming, and not all items are included. But the budget increase by roughly 1.1 million. The levy is $41,723,000. That means a 1% tax increase by the town is roughly $400,000. So for every $400,000 we increase the levy, that's a 1% increase. So if you look at this, these are the things that increased our expenses. These are things that we couldn't control or would be difficult to control. Things like our liability insurance, that went up $172,000. That's roughly a 0.4% tax increase by itself. Recycling and trash, $460,000. You can read the amounts of the tax increase next to them. Snow, because of the large amount of snow, we have had to put more into our trust. Some years we don't put money into the trust because it didn't snow. We have enough. But this year we have to put money into the trust so that there's money for next year. Remember, the snow season for this year continues in October, November, and December. Utilities, streetlights, and fuel, that's going up for everybody. It's $213,000. Decreased state aid, the manager mentioned, that's essentially an expense to us because it's less revenue, $239,000. Healthcare up over $1 million. Salaries, our people are out there. We have contracts with them. There's been inflation. They deserve and need raises just like people at home do. So that's over $500,000. Revenue for uncollected taxes. That's a state requirement, a calculation that we make. We have no control of that. It's probably put in the law years and years ago when towns didn't budget enough for people who didn't pay taxes and had trouble paying the schools and county their share. So we have to carry that, $300,000. Vehicle fleet maintenance up $60,000. Document imaging up $80,000 for a total of $3.4 million, or that by itself would be an 8.4% tax increase. So we tried to mitigate that tax increase by looking at money we spent last year that was left over. And I'll explain the danger of that later on. But the amount of legal fees for our construction department, we decreased by $20,000. The accumulated leave, that's basically, we have to have a fund. The state doesn't demand exactly how much money we have to have in it, but we have to have a fund in case, for instance, ridiculously, for instance, if the town were to go bankrupt and no longer exist, all of our employees would deserve money for their vacation time that they didn't take. So we have to put money aside for that. And we're putting $400,000 less aside. Now, there's going to be more things like that that we're not putting aside for our employees. I don't want our employees to panic. Should we actually hit these limits, we can take money out of the fund balance. The problem with that is we'd have to do an emergency expenditure, and emergency expenditures, when you do that, you take money out of our fund balance, which we have roughly $20 million, so we have plenty of money, but it goes into next year's budget. That's money that you can't use in next year's budget. You're going to get no benefit from, so it really is a penalty to you to do that. But we're taking the chance that we won't need that money, so we're not putting that into the trust. General legal, sorry, we're taking $200,000 out of that, hoping that Mr. Ranone won't ask for it later. Salary adjustments, we're putting on, saving $50,000 less. That's for people who get raises in the middle of the year. Tax appeals, we've had very few tax appeals in the last year or two. So again, we're going to take a chance and not fund that by $500,000. Again, if we hit that cap, we can go to fund balance, but I've already explained the penalties of doing that. So the total operating cost, the total of all that is about $1.2 million, or 2.9% that we're trying to save and not raise taxes. That's downward pressure on taxes. Then we looked at employees, and no one has been laid off. We're not planning to lay anybody off. These are positions that have not been filled for some time. No?
No, some of them have been filled very recently. There is a sacrifice here, Mr. Mayor.
But they're not filled now.
Not all of them have just become, some of them have just recently become vacant, and now we're not filling them.
And the problem with that is, yes, you can save money, but our business, we don't make a product, we don't make a widget. We make service. We provide service. And when we eliminate these positions, that's less service that we provide. So if we take out DPW seasonal positions, we're constantly getting calls, hey, can you mow this field in this park, this soccer field, etc.? It's hard. When we don't have those positions, it's harder to do that. And, right now we care about that we want to save the money. But I'll tell you, this summer, when I get a call, I want to call that guy and have him make that go away. So there's pain to this, and I'm not asking for anyone to feel sorry for council. It's an honor to be here, but we also want to serve, and when we can't serve, there's pain to us for that. So building inspectors, 2 positions, $120,000. Fire inspector, $60,000. Someone working in the court, $40,000. DPW seasonal positions, $30,000. Part-time custodian, $21,000. Truck driver, $86,000. Engineer inspector, $45,000. Economic development business associate. So that's basically Vince Dominic, who, if you've dealt with the town and had an issue with the town, you probably know his name. He had all kinds of titles, but he was basically our fixer. He found out when there was a problem, he found out that there was a problem, and he figured out how to make it better. He retired. It's a big loss to us, a hard one to fill, but we're not filling that. That is a extreme loss of service. Total employee costs, so although you add all those up, it's $500,000 plus another $166,000 for the Social Security that we're now not having to pay. So there's 1.7% tax decrease or pressure downward on the taxes. Cannabis, the reason I put cannabis on, I don't really look at social media, but sometimes my wife makes me look at social media. And there was a complaint that the cannabis fund has brought in $600,000 this year. Why are my taxes going up? Well, for one small part of it is it brought, last year they earned $600,000 worth of revenue that would equal $600,000 in taxes, but that last quarter is collected in the first quarter of this year, so we don't get credit for it this year. So that's $450,000, not $600,000. That's $450,000. That's a little over 1%. That is not going to hugely change your tax bill, but it is 1% that we're bringing down, but it's not going to make, the school tax go away. So that's all a total of pressure down 5.7%. What's this? Capital cuts. Oh, the manager mentioned things that we cut before. We even went to budget hearings, about 1% there. And then the things that people heard in budget hearings, such as the salt barn, vehicles for the police, et cetera, that we cut out. But the thing about capital items are, if we're going to be bonding for them, this year we're really only paying 5% of those costs. So while we cut thousands and thousands of dollars, it really comes out to only $100,000 off your taxes. And then this is where the money, this is neither adds to your taxes or decreases your taxes, but it adjusts where the money's going. And so the first one is medical benefits, reserve trust utilized, and I always make a mistake when I talk about it. So, Mr. Manager, get me out of trouble here.
So, yeah, I'll get you out of trouble, and hopefully we don't get into trouble by utilizing that much money. But
right.
Then, and we'll go back to what you said earlier, is that we would have to do an emergency appropriation. So we are a self-insured municipality for medical benefits, which means that our administrator, in this case Aetna, provides for us a couple different figures annually. One is they provide for us an amount to be budgeted for IBNR. IBNR is incurred but not reported. Incurred but not reported means we operate on a calendar year budget. So any costs that we pay from the current year budget have to be incurred in the current year. But as you know, medical bills often come from the prior year. They go back and forth with disputes over billing and what have you. So we need to budget an amount that is for the prior year. So we have that amount that's budgeted. And then we have what are called fully insured equivalent rates that are provided to us by Aetna. And that is, if we were fully insured, our PPO 1 plan would cost X amount of dollars per month for a single, for a couple, for a family. And those are the equivalent rates. And that's what we use to develop our budget. For this particular year, we utilized a reserve trust, which is where all of our monies go in from our employee contributions, our prescription rebates, everything that we get that comes in goes into this trust, and out of that is a portion of our expenses paid. However, our trust sat on January 1st at a little over $5 million. We should maintain a minimum of $4 million because that's basically the health insurance fund balance. All right, that's kind of like you hear the mayor and council members talk about the municipal fund balance as kind of our savings account. And in this case, this trust account is our savings account for our self-insurance. We should really not go much below $4 million at any given time. And this will draw us down to about $2.5 million by utilizing $3.44 million. Now, I appreciate what the mayor said, that 8.6% really doesn't represent anything, but it absolutely does. If that money were not utilized from the trust, that in and of itself for healthcare benefits would mean we would need to do an 8.6% tax increase on that one item alone. But because we have had some good years and not utilized all of the money budgeted, and what happens with self-insurance models in municipal government in New Jersey is that all of the unexpended funds, if there are any, in what you have budgeted, goes into that trust as well. So that is your fund balance. It returns to fund balance, right? Just like a municipal budget. So that $3.4 million absolutely represents an 8.6% tax increase in and of itself. So thankfully we have that ability to use that money to bring down the overall cost of medical benefits. But just like the fund balance, if you spend more than you return, ultimately you hit a structural deficit and you can't use that anymore because it doesn't exist. And then you have no choice but to increase taxes by that amount or make cuts elsewhere. So I know that was lengthy, but I think this is a very important part of this year's municipal budget.
Thank you. In addition to that, open space is going to be charged this year for some of it is an increase, a small portion is an increase for things like the manager's salary will be paid a little bit by open space because he spends an enormous time on open space, but also our DPW workers' healthcare costs are going to be paid out of open space. People on Open Space Committee, I know, are not going to be happy about this, and I understand that. We purposely put, and I mean this with respect and gratitude, we put tree huggers on the Open Space Committee because they're there to protect the open space. And they're not going to be happy about this. But we've had some great years in our budgeting. This council in the last 10 years has had 4 years with zero tax increase. That's unheard of in this century. There have only been 5 years with zero tax increase. 4 of them were under while I was mayor. But times are different now, and we can't gift open space money or the open space fund with taxpayer money. It's hurtful to us. It means less open space that we might be able to buy, but this was a decision that, the Financial Oversight Committee made and is passing on to the full committee to pass. The last item I have on there is Catalpa, and I wrote out the word zero. Again, my wife pointed me to some comments on social media where if they're raising taxes this year, why are they spending so much on the park? The park money comes out of the Open Space Fund. The Open Space Fund is for open space, recreation, historic preservation, and farmland preserve. It has long been planned to take money out of the Open Space Fund to pay for Catalpa Park. So the opening of Catalpa Park or the construction of Catalpa Park is not raising taxes at all. And I saw this on social media, and some of the people making the comments, or at least letting those comments go by without correction, are people that come to these meetings and know better. And I was a little shocked that they didn't make that correction. So I needed to point it out here. So I hope that this shows there's a number of places where we're putting the fund balance kind of on guard for things that might happen. And that's why when some people see that we have a $20 million fund balance, they say, well, why don't you just use that money so we don't have to raise taxes? And this is one of the reasons why. And the manager has a great explanation of why not just use fund balance for increasing.
My little,
Yeah.
Oftentimes it's difficult to understand.
Fund balance, is, by the way, is the money we have in the bank.
Right.
It's the easiest way to explain it.
So imagine that you have $20. We have 20 million. Imagine you have 20. And you spend 10. And then you earn 7. And the numbers are relevant. Think about multiplying it to get to millions. So you have 20, you spend 10, and then you earn 7. So now you have 17. And now you spend 10 again. And you have 7 in the bank, and you earn 7, and now you have 14. And then you spend 10 again, and you have 4, and you earn 7 again, and now you have 11. And now you spend 10, and you have 1, and you earn 7, but now you only have 8, and you can't spend 10 anymore. You can only spend 8, and you spend 8, and you only earn 7. So now you have 7, and that is a structural deficit. And that's what will happen, and what the pattern has been over the last 5 years is that we have kept budgets relatively flat and not increased budgets. The costs and the amount of money necessary to buy the things that we buy has gone up. So the amount that returns to fund balance is less, because if you budget 20 and you spend 10 and you don't get to 10, you keep going down. And we went from $28 million to $20 million. And we have a cash management plan that says that we should maintain $20 million. And what's happening now is we used nearly $13 million last year, and now we're using slightly over $10 million this year. And it's a 2-year process to regenerate fund balance from not the last year's budget, but the budget year prior to that. and we returned roughly 9. So we had a $3 million deficit, give or take a few dollars, on fund regeneration. And this year, bringing it down to a little over 10, the hope is that we regenerate 10, but the likelihood is, because we've decreased the amount that we've budgeted by cuts that we've made, there's not a lot of leftover in 2 years. It's not next year that this will affect, it's in 2028. Next year will be affected by 2025. But unless, there's only kind of a couple different ways to fix this issue. There's utilize less fund balance, right? That's one part of it. And then either generate more revenue. The primary source of revenue in municipal government is taxes, by far, or significantly cut spending. And when you cut spending, you cut services. So that's the dilemma that this council and I, to a great extent, have to deal with. The call in this particular circumstance this year was initially for a tax increase of over 10%. That was at the recommendation of our financial advisor. Through a number of cuts, through some adjustments in how things are paid for, and more fund balance than what was recommended, still more fund balance than was recommended by $1.2 million. Then recommended was $9 million. We're in the 10.1, 10.2 range for this budget year.
Yep.
By doing all of those things, we brought that from, I think, 10.57% recommended tax increase to a 7% tax increase. That 7% tax increase, I have to stress, I know the mayor did that earlier, is that is on the municipal portion of your tax bill. And I don't know, do you want me to bring that screen up, Mayor?
I will in 1 second. I want to make one, not correction, but explanation. When we were at 28 million, we purposely brought it down to 22 million, the fund balance, because that was too much to have in savings, and we spent that on capital items. And we paid cash for them, not bonded for them, basically to return the money to the public by buying things that were needed and moving the town forward.
And one of the reasons why, Mr. Mayor, so there were 2 years that our expenditures were far less than normal. And that was 2020 and 2021. Because for a great deal of those 2 years, municipal government operations came to a standstill for the pandemic. And we used very little of our municipal funds in the general operations of municipal government. So the years following those years had good fund balance regeneration, and then it fell off the cliff. As inflation went up significantly, the cost of living went up significantly, and the cost of doing business went up significantly.
So this budget is so tight that, as the manager basically just said, in 2 years, it's not going to return the amount of money that we're used to. It may only, we're spending 10.1, it may only return 8, 7, maybe 7.5, and that's going to hurt. I actually, you look for the ideal amount to raise taxes, and there is no ideal amount. There's no formula that says that's the amount. It's painful to us to raise taxes because we know where you are out there. We know about affordability. We hear it every day. some of us has more money than others, but there are people up here that affordability matters too, and they are our friends, and we care about that. But we also have a responsibility to the town to keep it solvent. So this is, again, I'm not looking for sympathy, but this was not an easy decision to come to. And it might have, there was part of me that wanted to do an 8% tax increase, not a 7% tax increase, to be more on the fiscal responsibility side. Okay, next. Oh, you already got it up. So I hate using tax rates because towns will talk about how they reduce the tax rate year after year. And that's because of what the assessments did, not because they're spending less money. But within 1 year, within one assessment in one town, not between towns, but within an assessment within one town in the same year, you can compare tax rates. And it's useful in seeing what percent of the tax that you're paying goes to which entity. And by looking at the tax rates in column B, you can decide how much each of the entities in column A, what percentage of the tax is going that way. So this shows that the school district is 61.2% of your tax. This was last year. I don't have the county tax rate yet, so I can't do it for this year. But last year, the school was 61.2%. The county was 15.6%. We were 13.5%. Municipal open space was 2.9%. And then both the municipal library and the county open space were 1.7%. And the fire districts, on average, were 3.5% of your tax bill. So the thing that I'm pointing out here is when your taxes go up, you can blame 13.5% of that on us. Most of it goes to the school. I'm not saying the schools don't deserve it, but the tax rates go up on us. And Rosanna's sitting over there, and she was the tax collector for a long time, and she pointed out that even when we didn't raise taxes at all, people complained to us about how much taxes went up. And that's okay. That's our job. We put out the tax bills. You come here to pay for them, we understand. But we do want you to understand that we are 13.5% last year of your tax bill. And then the last chart.
And Mr. Mayor, I think that I might just make one correction to this, and I'm probably right about this, not 100% sure, but I think the decimal point on fire districts is in the wrong place. I think it's actually 0.35%, not 3.5%.
That could be.
Because it is at 0.06.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Yes.
0.05 is.
No, you're right. No, you're right. It is 3.5. No, it is 3.5.
Bob, I was
stand.
adding
It is.
the numbers just to make sure that we come to 100, and but with 3.5 comes to 100.
It comes to 100. It is right. I stand corrected, Mr. Mayor. It is correct at 3.5%.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only to one decimal point, 2 decimal points instead of 3, and that's kind of what threw me off.
And then
And not to mention Councilman Vasanella telling me that there was something wrong with the numbers.
Well, there's
Looking at
there's
the-
3 digits. If it need to move, like the one has 4.
Well, see, when you have a 0 on the end of a decimal point, there is no 0. It eliminates.
That's what got confused.
That's Excel.
That's Excel.
All right, and one more chart.
Good info.
Yep.
So I disappointed many people on council because I didn't have any graphs.
He does.
But I'm allowed one chart with way too many numbers, and this is it. So this is for calendar years 2024, 2025, and 2026. Our tax increases were 6%, 2.6%, and then this year, 7%. In yellow is the list of the average home prices for each year. And then the next is the municipal tax. Went from roughly $1,217 to $1,297 to $1,375. year after year, that's an increase in 2004 of $80, last year of 24 of $80, last year of $79, and this year of $78. Now, earlier, Mr. Vornlager said $74. My math is probably off here, but the point I'm trying to get across, because I didn't round off the tax rates when I do this, and if I did, it would probably come much closer to his value. But the point is, in the last 3 years, it's roughly the same amount of tax increase. We're roughly increasing taxes $80 each year. So while this sounds like this is the largest tax increase percentage-wise of my mayorship, it's the dollar amount because of the way assessments went, et cetera, is roughly the same as the last 2 years. Not patting myself on the back, but I'm just pointing out the facts. And that is the end of my long talk.
And that is the end of mine as well.
So we have any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to make a comment here. As a member of the Financial Oversight, I have seen what a great job our township manager and his department heads did. We started with almost over 14% tax increase, and with several meetings and discussions and questions and so forth, we came down to 7%. So I really wanted to commend what you did, township manager, as well as the rest of my colleagues that questioned every number. And so it's I know it's painful to see even a $1 tax increase, but I think what this department did, our manager department leaders did, and the police department as well, is really commendable. So I wanted to just recognize the great job they have done.
I just wanted to add to that. As the newest member on the council and the newest member on the Financial Oversight Committee, I kind of jumped on a moving train.
I have to say, that's true.
In med school, we call that drinking out of a fire hose.
Exactly right. I was pleasantly surprised. This budget is an outcome of long hours, a lot of work happening in the background, a lot of conversations, a lot of rigorous analysis, difficult trade-offs, and thoughtful debate. It's about maintaining a balance between a commitment to fiscal discipline while protecting services that all our residents need on a daily basis. And the conversation that we had about the fund balance, it was a learning experience for me, that you need to regenerate money on the fund balance as you take money away from it. And it becomes not just a responsibility for today, but to build a township that works for us for years to come. I know we talked about, we are a service organization. We don't make products and widgets. Reality is there are a lot of service organizations that exist in the world. I work for a service organization that is $60 billion. And there is a lot of sacrifice when we look at budgets year on year. Those budgets almost always shrink. We are different because we provide services to ourselves, to our residents on a day-to-day basis, and some of them are truly essential services. And I think that's the big distinction that I personally learned in the process. Are we not going to make sacrifices? Heck yes, we are going to make sacrifices. We did make a bunch of sacrifices this year, and I think we will continue to make those sacrifices in the coming years. But there is some education, like the conversation that we just had between the mayor and the township manager. I think that education is important. I learned, I'm sure there are many, many, many others who would listen to this conversation, come and ask questions, and get educated in the process. That's what I wanted to say, Mayor.
Mayor, I just have a quick comment. So I'm not in the Financial Oversight Committee, but a couple of our colleagues have questioned pretty much every budget item the Financial Oversight Committee came up with. Trust me, we put them through the ringer, and we held their feet to the fire. And I think the outcome is a fair budget. Everybody is not going to like it, but that's what we got. I just have one comment, Township Manager, if you can just explain. Our budget is $75 million, whereas our tax levy is $41 million. So I know that the balance is the other revenue items that we generate. If you can just make a quick comment on why we couldn't increase that further to balance the tax levy.
Why we couldn't increase what?
The revenue items that we generate.
Okay. So the revenue items, and I'll tell you what they are. The primary revenue items, but if you give me 2 seconds, just have to open up a spreadsheet for myself here. So we actually did increase revenues besides, like I said earlier, the primary source of revenue in a municipal government is taxes, right? The amount to be raised by taxes. Our miscellaneous revenues equaled in 2025, the amount realized was $9,846,420. Those are miscellaneous revenues. So those are fees collected, construction fees from the construction department, all permit fees, fines from the municipal court, hotel tax, cannabis tax, all of those are miscellaneous revenues, okay? That amount in the 26 budget is anticipated at an increase of $108,000. So one of the things about a municipal budget in New Jersey is that when you anticipate revenues for the current budget year, you can only anticipate them at the number that you realized unless you can justify why you're anticipating more. So that's, you can only go so high. What that does is it means that the state is saying to a municipality, you can't overestimate your revenues to maintain a false level in your budget so that you don't have to raise taxes, right? I mean, because ultimately that's like a house of cards. It will collapse. So that's one. State aid, obviously we talked earlier, state aid is a source of revenue, and state aid is down about $240,000 from 2025. There was one element of state aid that was not provided, is not to be provided in 2026. Delinquent tax collections. Obviously, when people don't pay their taxes, and we don't have a 100% collection rate, so we budget as a source of revenue the collection of delinquent taxes, because it wasn't collected in the prior year. If it's collected in the current year, then it's anticipated revenue. Last year, our budget was $2.4 million. We realized more than $2.4 million in collections of delinquent taxes. So this year, it's $2.5 million. That's $100,000 of additional revenue, but it's $2.5 million of anticipated revenue. So the overall revenue that is anticipated, right, is the same amount that we budget, because we have a balanced budget. So, but we have all of these other sources of revenue, and then we have the amount to be raised by taxes, and then we have fund balance. And in a municipal budget, fund balance is anticipated revenue. what you utilize to balance your budget and fund balance is just considered revenue. So it's in the end, it's very simple math, right? Once you do all of the other calculations, it just comes down to, we anticipate this much in revenue minus taxes. We have this much in expenditures, and the difference is the amount to be raised by taxes plus fund balance utilization. And every municipality's budget uses fund balance unless they've spent their fund balance down so far that they don't have sufficient fund balance to use. And that's really it. But those are the sources of revenue, right? We have some taxes, some fees. A big portion of it is construction fees, and so you have good years and bad years. If the development drops off, then builders aren't paying us as much money in development in construction fees, so our construction revenue will go down. There are all those trade-offs.
Mr. Mayor, one of the things that is important for everybody to recognize that by having a healthy fund balance, we will get a better bond rating. So, and Mr. Mayor actually, he was emphasizing that we got to keep it a healthy fund balance. So our goal is to keep it around 20 million, so we can have a better bond rating, we will pay less interest and so forth. So it's a really a great benefit to have that. So I think it's important for everybody to know why we want to keep it at 20 or above, but 20 is kind of a number that we think that gives us a great opportunity to keep our bond rates lower.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just had a question. It's just curiosity. And Mayor, that was very helpful information, for what it's worth, at least to me, and I think to a lot of people in the public. Much better than charts and graphs, in my opinion.
I love the graphs.
I know you do.
I didn't even have
It's a compliment, Mayor.
I didn't even have a formula.
I shouldn't have said anything. No, seriously, I'm just curious. Did our hotel taxes, and I know it's not a lot of revenue, but did that go up or down the last couple of years? Sorry?
Down.
Okay. No, I thought it would be, unfortunately, but because that used to, back in the day, be more helpful because it was higher. Are we removing all of the seasonal DPW jobs?
No. Those that are funded out of open space and those that are funded out of the water utility will remain. Those that are funded out of the current fund budget are eliminated. I can't eliminate full-time positions and continue to pay high school kids summer jobs. It's just, they're.
No, I was just curious.
I'm saying, so that's
judging
but
it.
There's an equal amount out of the water utility, and then a roughly equal amount out of the open space fund for seasonals, as there have been every year. Sometimes we have good turnout for those jobs, and sometimes not so good.
Well,
we already have a couple filled already.
I'm glad to hear. I'm not advocating.
We were at the resource fair that Councilwoman Francois spoke about earlier for those water utility and open space positions.
Yeah, well, no, I'm glad to hear that, because that's been the mainstay in our township for, well, at least 50 years that I'm aware, and probably much longer. And I just think it's a wonderful thing. I know we have to sacrifice, but I'm glad to hear you're able to keep keep a lot of them. Thank you.
The hotel tax is down $133,365.84 from 25 to from 24. 25's collected taxes was down over 133,000.
That's 1/3% actually, in 11. Yeah, okay, but no, I'm really glad to hear that some of those jobs, and hopefully next year they'll all be back there. It's been a great. I know people now that talk about 30 years later about their experience and for what that's worth. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
You just mentioned it. The hotel tax went down. Have we decreased in the hotel space that we've had in town?
No. Actually, we're increasing.
We're in-
There's more hotels being built, yeah, so there's actually the room number of rooms. The former Marriott decreased the number of rooms available, but the hotel industry baffles me as far as the construction of new hotels in the world that we live in right now. The hotel industry in our town was to primarily target business travelers, I remember, I'm sure you all do too, that the rack rates during the week were quite high, and then they would run specials on the weekend to try to get people to just go hang out at the hotel for the weekend because they had no one staying there on the weekends. And with the advent of Zoom meetings and remote it's just amazing to me that there are still people traveling for business in the numbers that they used to, that they would be building new hotels, but nonetheless they are. There's one under construction on Atrium Drive right now, and one that was just completed to replace the Travel Lodge on Easton Avenue. And so there's a number of them, but I don't think it's a matter of less rooms because their occupancy rates are in the 40% rate at best. So there's plenty of rooms to rent. It's just that people aren't staying in them as often as they used to.
So that's not something that we would ever, if we did count on them way back in the day, that's something that we're not remotely.
So it rebounded a little bit after COVID. In 2023, it rebounded a little bit, and now I think we're starting to see where it's peaked. It's right now, it's at about 1 point, hold on, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
As we look
Since
that
you
up,
asked
I'll
the
just
question,
say,
yes, go right ahead.
I will just say that we are starting to see a rebound because with the back to work guideline from almost every corporation globally, which is almost 5 days a week at this point, we will continue to see a little rebound, but it's probably not going to be, as the township manager said, back to where it was prior to COVID.
The one thing that I will say that I wasn't here for a little bit, but listening to my financial representative, my colleagues that were on that committee, I'm more sure that arrows were flying nice and heavy going back and forth. And I appreciate that. And then coming out and having explained it, it reminds me of going to college. Do you eat today or do you pay your college bill tomorrow?
Yep.
And sometimes it was pay your college bill tomorrow because you got that incomplete if you didn't pay to get certain things done. So I would just like to keep our residents in mind that you want things, but you don't realize it's going to cost you in the end. And if you say I want 55 million cops on the street because of crime, well, it's not going to cost me the $25,000 for the first year cop. It's going to cost me $25,000 plus benefits, plus hospitalization, plus everything else down the road. So it's not just that one-time fee. You have to include all the other little pieces to the puzzle to make that one person whole that you hire. So in eliminating a position, I just didn't eliminate that $30,000 a year position. I eliminated all the health benefits, all the pension benefits, all the 6 days, and all that kind of thing. But we need to remember, we're not a small town anymore. You're a growing town, and you're going to need things. People complain about the streets not being paved. People complain about garbage. Well, we don't do garbage. You got to pay for your own garbage, but I still get emails for garbage. So be careful what you wish for, because when the council gives it to you, it might come with a price tag, and you may not like it, but it's there because you wanted it. And we as the township fathers, as it were, I'm including women also, we're trying to make that budget so that you don't have to spend more money, because I do live here. I don't want to spend any more money. I live here. I pay taxes. But you got to have something in which you want it. It's going to cost you. Jerry, and my colleagues might hate me for saying it, but it's gonna cost you. And that's the one thing that we're trying not to have you pay for a lot, because I'm gonna get hours back and forth, they're gonna get hours back and forth, and it's gonna cost. I hate to say it that way. I asked the mayor, because if we raise our budget, the Board of Education raises their budget, we need to have a meeting to say, hey, where are we going in this township? What is it actually going to cost us in 5, 10, 15 years? What is it actually going to look at? Healthcare costs we can't control. That's something the township manager said you can put in the black box and just put it there, because it's a moving target. We have obligations. The Board of Education has obligations. We have students. They have to pay for it. There are kids, there are grandkids. They got to pay for those. You want us to pay for our portion, which was, what, 13%? 13%? The Board of Education was what, 61? We got to come together on that program. Maybe we can do a little more synergy. Maybe we can do a little more bouncing back and forth. I know we do the maintenance program together, so that is some cost savings there, but maybe we can look for more.
The cost savings for them. We do the work.
Oh,
They pay us for it. So.
You keep that in your back pocket. You ain't gonna say all that. But definitely, in all sincerity, when you look at our budget, I got to hand it to our finance committee. They did a hell of a job, and I appreciate them for looking at it, for actually looking at it. But again, next year's going to get uglier. It might get better. The Board of Education might get uglier. It might get better. We need to start working on things and putting things together now.
Mr. Wright, I'm getting a text that they can't hear you. Is your mic on?
Yeah, he's on.
Yeah, I could hear him pretty well.
This must be going down.
Okay.
That's
It must be time for me to be quiet and step back.
Okay.
So I want to point out one thing. Carl, that was interesting, and I agree with most of what you said. The mayor and I have a slightly different view on the budget, but that's why there's 9 of us. If you all had the same exact view and approach, there'd be no reason to have a council. But I do want to acknowledge, I know one thing near and dear to his heart, he kind of skipped over it, I think, in the presentation, was, it sounds measly, but $25,000 that we were going to give to the 250th committee. That is struggling to raise money. Please support them any way you can, but you know, I'm going to say, and everybody on the committee, but probably Phil and I, our mayor and I, lovingly and for the better of Franklin, butted heads a little bit over the decades. But you just don't talk the talk, you walk the walk, and I know how important that was to you. So it's a little thing, but you know, you're practicing what you preach, and I appreciate that, and the work of the rest of the committee. I think we hope maybe get a little, next couple of years are going to be very interesting, and quite frankly, I don't know if it's going to get better or worse, but I'm sure we'll get ahead of it, and we learned a lot this year, and the committee will go back to it and put in those hours, and we'll see where we land next year, but I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Ms. Francois. I don't think you
Yeah, I
said-
got to jump in here real quick. So I think the key message and to take away from this whole budget discussion that we've had at Financial Oversight, it's very easy to make simple decisions, and as Carl Wright would say, kick the can down the road. But when you think about the fact that the method and approach that was taken, we need to take regarding spending and cost cutting and estimating future revenues, estimating what costs could be potentially be, you have to really look at what the long-term impact is based on the decisions that you make today versus what could potentially the impact will be long-term. And so we had to make sure that we were not just looking at what the easy decision would be this year, but we had to think about the financial solvency of the future of the municipality long term. And so you don't have a crystal ball. You can't figure out what's going to happen in the future, but you know what you have to deal with today. So we needed to make the most financially, fiscally sound decisions, which were painful. We could have made some easy decisions, but we did not do that. And so I would like to commend everybody on this council for, biting the bullet and doing what was best, doing the best thing for Franklin Township and the residents. Even if we're going to have a lot of people that may not be very happy with us for raising taxes, we're being fiscally responsible, and we made fiscally sound financial decisions about what was best in this budget. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I think, you have not spoken, Mr. Onijaka.
I know it was a very tough decision for us to take on this budget. But the part that interests me most and I'm worried about is the layoff. And as it goes down, there is no layoff in this. It's a very positive move and a greatest achievement. At this critical time, there is no layoff in Franklin. So it's a good thing for me to express my feelings. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I think it's time for the vote. Madam Clerk, what have you been doing all this time?
Listening. Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Regrettably, I have to go back one resolution. I think it was worded wrong, the last one. It's authorized, it reads, in my script anyway, authorized to read self-examination of budget resolution. I think it should be authorized self-examination of budget resolution.
Okay.
I think,
We
Mayor,
voted on that.
I think just your script is wrong. I think the resolution is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The resolution is correct.
You don't have to redo it?
No. As I said, that you just needed to leave out that word in your script.
Okay, all right. Fixed. All right, now we're on to public hearings and adoption of ordinances on second reading. Ordinance number 4503-26, ordinance accepting a conservation easement and permanent access easement for 31 Voorhees LLC in connection with premises known as Block 113, Lot 101.01, Block 119, Lot 26.01, and Block 132, Lot 9.01 in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, presented for public hearing and final adoption. Public hearing is noticed as required. We are open for public hearing with unanimous consent and no objection on this item only. Anyone wishing to speak? I see movement. Okay, here we go.
Right. Thank you very much for the details on the budget, and of course, I didn't realize how complex the process is and the hard work which goes on, which definitely is in the whole system. So that's very good that you have paid due diligence to create the budget. However, of course, if you have to look at the budget, it used to be about 58 million 10 years ago.
Sir, this is only about the ordinance that was just read, not any other public topic.
Okay.
It's only to address the ordinance that's up for adoption.
Okay. For the budget, right?
No, the budget the ordinance that the mayor just read from the agenda is the conservation easement. It's only for the conservation, okay.
The public hearing on the budget will be on May 26th. And you can, of course, come to the next meeting during the general public portion and speak then about the budget. Anyone?
No.
No. The school budget final adoption is tonight, somewhere else. At the school board.
The school board meeting.
At the Board of Education meeting. We have nothing to do with their budget.
Yeah. Sorry if you've waited all this time for
I
this.
sent 2 people away.
Anyone else
that were over
wishing to
there.
speak on this ordinance?
No, sir, you can't. This is not, you just can't speak up. Sorry. Afterwards, you can stay and ask all your questions.
Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance? I ask unanimous consent to close public portion, and then we'll, without objection, to a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright? Neither one of them are here.
That's next. It's 3.
Oh, okay. So now we have ordinances on first reading. These ordinances have to do with the fact that we're going to be passing a budget, and then we have to, once we pass the budget, we want to spend the money to get capital projects done. And this guy makes me read all of them,
No,
and not pass them all together.
Correct. Sorry.
Oh, my God.
So
I'm not the one who makes you read it.
No, his law partner makes
If
you
you
read
want,
them.
I'll read them, but you're going to have to vote on them separately.
All right, ordinance on introduction and first reading, ordinance number 4504-26, bond ordinance providing for 2026 capital improvements and equipment acquisitions by and in the town of Franklin, in the township of, in the county of Somerset, state of New Jersey, appropriating $8,049,100, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $6,979,145 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, and publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption in a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, May 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. No, shouldn't this be May 26th?
Why would you want it to be?
But because we're not passing the budget until May 26th.
No, Mr. Mayor, while you were out, we adopted an emergency appropriation for capital so that we could do the capital projects before the budget is adopted.
You go to the hospital one night,
Well, that's what can I tell you?
and you guys just leave me. Okay.
And I believe our township attorney was absent from that meeting as well, so we did lots of business that you don't know anything about.
I watched it online, but I didn't pick that up. Okay. Sorry, May 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Ordinance 4505-26, bond ordinance providing for various 2026 capital improvements for water utility by and in the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, appropriating $4.588 million, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4.588 million bonds or notes of the Township of Finance. Sorry, bonds or notes of the township of finance the cost thereof, to finance the cost thereof. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with the law, public hearing and final adoption and a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, May 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do we have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi? Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Ordinance 4506-26, capital ordinance appropriating $293,500 from the Open Space Trust Fund to pay for various capital acquisitions and improvements for the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, May 12th, 2026 at 7 p.m. on the council chambers. Do we have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Anderson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quasi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Monticello?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Rhodes?
Consent agenda. Items A through O as listed in the consent agenda portion of this meeting are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? And then let's pull an item, let's separate out an item. Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quasi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Councilman Vasanella's gone too.
No, it's coming back.
They're running like
His term
flies.
expired. So, but not that the meeting was long.
We have no resolutions to be voted on separately. All business, any boards, committees, commissions, queenships, loyal. Anyone have any appointments to make? No. Okay. We have no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We are adjourned. Be well, Franklin.